I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recording in progress.
Well, good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting, December 16th, 2024. With that, could I have a roll call, please?
Luther.
Here.
Crowe.
Here.
Sutherland.
Here.
Yonko. Here. McCullough. Here. Schwetz.
Here.
Gantz.
Here.
Silver. Here. Schlu.
Here.
Perryman.
Here.
Summerfeld.
Here. Good, thank you. No special recognitions this evening, as we move right on into approval of minutes. If somebody would like to approve the minutes from our last meeting, you can do so at this time. Chad?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, motion's on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Ryland?
I'll second Chad's motion.
Motion made on approval of minutes. If any discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We can move on into public comments. Public comments is a portion of our meeting where anybody can speak for 3 minutes or less on agenda items for the evening. We would invite you up to the podium. Please make sure your microphone is on. Do sign in and do give us your name and your address. Again, we are limiting this to 3 minutes. So with that being said, if anybody would like to come up and public comments, now is your opportunity.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Jacks. I reside at N5322 200th Street. I am representing ConAgra Foods Swiss Miss here. We certainly appreciate the city considering the DAF agreement. It's been a long time coming. I think Dave and crew at the city, we've hashed this out over the last, say, 6 months really hard. So we appreciate it. I'm going to stick around for item 4B and 4C if there are questions as we get to that point. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you being here this evening. Okay, moving on. If anybody else would like to speak to public comments, please come forward.
My name is Luke Welch. I reside at 718 13th Street Southeast in the city of Menomonie. I'm here as a representative of the Menomonie Baseball Association regarding agenda item 4-D. We appreciate the city's consideration towards approving baseball, pickleball, and basketball improvements as part of the Pine Avenue project. The Menomonie Baseball Association hosts 4 to 6 events a year within the 4 to 6 events within the park each year. We receive many compliments about the facilities within Wakanda Park. Annual participants continually acknowledge past improvements and assure us of their return. The current batting cages along Pine Avenue are in use daily, spring through autumn, and are in need of major repairs. The proposed upgrades to the batting cages will help run our baseball operations more efficiently, and the new configuration could serve a full team of 12 to 15 players at one time. It is the Menomonie Baseball Association's hope that the City Council will consider approving the bids for these projects. Upon City Council's approval, MBA will allocate an estimated $40,000 to purchase the batting cage framework, netting, and other materials necessary to complete this new facility. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Great, thank you, Luke. Thank you for being here.
All right. Good evening. I'm Becky Behrens. I reside at 1529 Shore Haven Court. I am here as a representative of the Menomonie Hoops Club. I'm the president of the Hoops Club, and I'm here on regarding the same item, number 4D. And again, I would also appreciate the city's support for baseball, pickleball, and then for us basketball. The city right now doesn't have a full court basketball court, and I think that we've already seen some great success with the Hoops Club donated new hoops to the middle school, and we've had like awesome feedback that it's full not just of basketball kids, but anyone that wants to go outside and play at their lunch, which is really awesome to see middle school kids out and being active. And I think that by creating something like this, especially in the Wakanda Park, where there's a lot of other things happening, I think it's a great place for kids to go and hang, and having a facility like this would be really great. The Hoops Club also has committed to buying the hoops and all the things that go along with that. So I think it's 4 hoops that would go with what the proposed project is. So we appreciate your support in that. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Becky. We appreciate you being here this evening.
Absolutely.
Hi there, Tammy Simon. I reside at 387 Sisters Court here in Menomonie. I am here tonight speaking on behalf of my position as the Director of Tourism at the Menomonie Area Chamber and Visitor Center. I'm here to respectfully advocate for the approval of the proposed room tax increase to 8% as outlined in item 4L on the agenda. The Chamber holds a contract with the City of Menomonie to administer tourism-related funds in accordance with state regulations. Each time an individual stays in a hotel, they contribute to the room tax, which is then collected by the city in compliance with Wisconsin State Statute 66.015. The city then allocates 70% of this revenue to a designated destination marketing organization, which in this case is the Chamber. These funds are used explicitly to promote Menomonie as a travel destination with the goal of attracting more visitors, who in turn will stay in our hotels and generate additional room tax revenue. As the Director of Tourism, I am deeply committed to ensuring that these funds are managed efficiently and responsibly. Our primary objective is to attract visitors and increase hotel occupancy. Heads and beds, we've heard that so many times, but thereby benefiting the local economy. Currently, a room tax rate is just under the state's maximum allowable rate. An increase to 8% would provide a significant boost to both our marketing budget and available grant funds. This increase would enhance our ability to promote local events to a much broader audience. And then expanding our reach is crucial in driving tourism to Menomonie, which in turn fosters economic growth within the city. So I will be available to answer questions if any arise when the agenda item is discussed, but I do thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tammy. Public comment is open.
Good evening, I'm Lori Lewis. I live at E6284 821st Avenue, Colfax, and I'm here as the co-president of the Menomonie Pickleball Club, representing regarding our interest in item 4D. So as a club, we've been working to expand play both indoors and outdoors, and we also work to promote growth in the play. Pickleball as a sport is one that appeals to people regardless of age or physicality. So we've seen great expansion, particularly in the youth, and we welcome play by more and more groups all the time. So I'm here tonight. We appreciate the city's consideration of expansion of the pickleball courts at Wakanda Park, and we hope that the city council will consider approving the bids. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, and even people of my age play pickleball. Public comments is still open if you'd like to come forward.
My name is Sarah Olson. I'm the store manager at the North Menomonie Center, representing. Oh, sorry. I'm Sarah Olson. I reside at E2224 570th Avenue. I'm the store manager at the North Menomonie Cemex, representing Synergy Cooperative, and we're just seeking consideration for Class A beer and liquor cider only license, just to better serve our customers. And I'm here if there's any questions or concerns about that. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Sarah.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Jardine. I'm here representing agenda item 4A regarding the rehabilitation of 614 Main Street. I've been here before talking about the same project last year when we applied to the state of Wisconsin for the CDI grant, which was granted to us. In that time, we did additional feasibility studies and found that we had significant additional costs, namely asbestos and hazardous removal from the building. For that reason and for just general increase of cost of build. Requesting some additional help from the city in the form of TIF financing. I'm happy to discuss the project more if you're willing to suspend the rules when the agenda item comes up. I know from, if I'm in any of your shoes, I want to ensure that I'm not lining the pocket of some developers. I can assure you that that's not the case. As the project stands, if this comes through along with a loan that I'm proposing with the Greater Menomonie Economic Development Corporation, the rate of return over 5 years is 1%, over 7 years is 3%, and 10 years is a 5% rate of return. I truly believe that this is more of a community action on my end to help drive that revitalization and vibrancy that I've talked about in this chamber so many times. Again, Jeremiah Jardine, feel free to suspend the rules. I'm happy to talk about the project more. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for being here, Jeremiah. It sounds like a fun project that you're working on. I don't know if it's fun or intriguing, but I'm glad that you're taking it on. Appreciate that.
A surprise around every corner.
There you go. Okay, public comment is still open. If anybody else would like to come up to speak in public comment, now is your opportunity to do so. Last call for public comment. Okay, we're going to close public comment and move on with the rest of our meeting. Under 4, new business 4A, proposed development agreement with TDW Enterprise LLC, 614 Main Street East. Discussion and possible action. Eric, if you could bring us up to speed, I know you've been working closely on this project, so.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So with the installation of tax increment district number 19, it has given us the ability to start looking at doing more creative projects with our downtown area in an attempt to renovate our old historic district and the businesses around it. One such business is the old Lakeside Lounge. That's that 614 Main Street East building that Jeremiah had mentioned. What we're proposing is an agreement that will provide financing to help reimburse for asbestos removal, lead removal, mitigation of exposed wire and knob, as well as becoming ADA compliant. Additionally, with the increment that is created, if Jeremiah's building gets a minimum assessed value of $400,000, he has the ability to trigger a pay-go payment that could last up to 5 years. In all, it would be a tax incentive of $67,500 some odd dollars that would be available. His project, as he had mentioned, is considerable cost. Will cost approximately $1 million to renovate that particular building. This project, we believe that the city, through working with Jeremiah and other developers in the downtown area, will help trigger those developers or move them in a fashion that will encourage them to develop our downtown, thus encouraging economic development, bringing in more businesses, restaurants, boutiques, and other businesses that can help our community thrive. Does anybody have any questions about this development agreement?
Well, and I want to elaborate just a little bit too on what Eric said. You look at some of these buildings downtown and they need so much love, so much repair and so forth and so on. Here we have an individual that's willing to stick his neck out to make something happen with it. And I think maybe it's worthy of the city to stick our neck out to help along too. I know the Greater Menomonie Development Corporation, they're eager to see more happening in the development area of downtown and throughout our area. So I think this is a worthwhile cause, and I think we should support this, and I would give the council the floor. So council, Chad?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules so the gentleman could tell us what he's planning on doing.
Okay, motion's on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Matthew?
I'll second Chad's motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, Jeremiah, if you come back up to the microphone again, and we've got a few questions, I guess, for you. Maybe you can just elaborate what your long-term goal maybe is for that building and how many years out you are for that.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. So in its current state, it is, it's a mess. There are 2 apartments on the upstairs that are vacant, that are uninhabitable effectively at this point in time. Right now, they're two one-bedroom apartments. One of them is rather large for one bedroom, so there's an opportunity to turn that into a two-bedroom, and that overlooks the lake. It probably has one of the best views of Menomonie, I think it's safe to say. And then the back one faces Olson's parking lot there in the back. Right now, there's a dilapidated deck on the back that is terrifying to walk on, that needs to be replaced or removed and then rebuilt and replaced. And the entrance to the building from both the front and the back are neither are ADA compliant, I think it's the right way to say it, and it makes the basement inaccessible for any commercial uses at this point in time. So the goal is to rehabilitate the two apartments into high-quality living standards. So I'm looking at granite countertops, nice new kitchens with stainless steel appliances, something to attract and retain those young professionals that I've talked about with everyone here at council before. We have so many stout grads that graduate here and then depart and flee the town, right? And one of the reasons, I want to help give them a reason to stay with just excellent living standards. And then on the bottom there, in the bottom commercial area, what was formerly the Lakeside Bar, if you walk around, you still might find a student's ID or two stapled to the ceiling. It's a false ceiling that was installed some time ago. Unfortunately, it tested positive for asbestos, so we need to have the asbestos crew come in, take down that whole ceiling, suit up, put in respirators, and then have I think negative air pressure systems, I think is the right word, which is going to cost approximately $38,000 just in asbestos remediation there. But once we do that, we now take these 8-foot ceilings, we blow them out, and we have an 11-foot ceiling now above it. We bring it back to its vibrancy, what it used to be. There's no tin ceiling there. I would love to just stop right there, but I know Dave won't let me. So we'll have to take down the tin ceiling, put in 2-hour fire rating of drywall, and then that gives us 2-hour fire rating between the floors. And then I want to take what is on the front facade, which is stone and windows about this big. Back when you didn't want to let people know that you were at the bar drinking, we want to actually bring that down to a knee wall, similar to we've seen at 400 Main, and then have windows, again from about 18 inches up all the way to the top of that space, which I think will just be a beautiful entry point for anybody coming in from the eastern side of Menomonie to see. And I've talked with Dave and Barbara Stanko in the building next to us that have the beautiful mural on it, but I think we all recognize the facade could use a little bit of improvement as well. And while we're there with a boom lift painted the side of the building, Dave and Barbara have also extended their excitement about repainting some of their building as well.
Okay, any questions for Jeremiah, as long as we've got him here? Chad?
So what are you doing down on the first floor, and where are people gonna park?
Okay, great question. So on the first floor, my goal, which will require me to find a restaurateur to partner with, is to bring a restaurant there. I think we all recognize there's a gap in the market, and we would, we've got great bar restaurants in town here, but gosh, wouldn't it be great somewhere that we could go to get something other than burgers or pizza, right? So that's a big goal of mine. I've been courting folks in Hudson, I've been courting them in Stillwater, in Eau Claire. It's a challenge, but we have a couple of folks that we've been engaged with again recently in conversation. And then as far as the parking, it does have 4 parking spots on the back side of it. However, clearly that would not be enough for a restaurant. The Olson's Funeral Home folks and I have a handshake agreement that as long as there's not a funeral in session, that we would be able to utilize their parking lot as well. And additionally, I've got a solid relationship with the folks that manage the BMO building as well, and I'm confident we could secure parking there if needed.
Any other questions for Jeremiah? Just a statement. I think it's pretty exciting that you're willing to take on this project, and I think it's pretty exciting that you've got some other projects downtown too that are moving forward. I would so support this project, and I think that as Menomonie, it also it puts our front foot forward, saying we want to support downtown development, and we need to fix these old buildings, so tear them down. and rather fix them and preserve some of the historic values. So that's my statement. If anybody else has any questions, otherwise I'd like to move on. I think I'd like to make a motion to support this. Lee, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I moved approval of the development agreement with TDW Enterprises LLC as presented.
Thank you. Is there a
One
second?
minor correction, should be TWD. Sorry.
Okay, what we had is wrong.
Okay, correct. We'll make that correction. Thank you for the good motion, Ben. Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Mary?
I will second Lee's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any additional discussion from council? Okay, roll call vote.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Bianco,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schwetz,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Schlue,
Yes.
Erdman.
Abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Jeremiah, for being here. We're gonna move on to the next piece of business. Under 4B. Under 4B, proposed DAF construction and maintenance agreement with ConAgra. That's a huge project. I didn't realize it was quite so undertaking until I got really looking at it. And I know Dave's been, Mr. Schofield's been working on this, and Eric's been working on this with them. And I think it is what it is, but I think it has to happen. With that, I'm just gonna turn this over to Eric, and he can brief you and bring you up to speed with Dave, et cetera.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So the city and ConAgra have been working together to look at creating this DAF facility, which is dissolved air flotation system. Common knowledge, right? So anyway, short story, we have materials that are causing issues for our system. The system will attach air bubbles to it, help it float to the top, so we can skim out the icky stuff. For the more scientific version, I'm gonna give it to the actual engineers on how to explain it. But this development agreement allows for us to create this DAF. ConAgra is going to be paying for that DAF and reimbursing, and also for our maintenance of it. For a better explanation than the very poor man's engineer version that I gave, Mr. David Schofield.
Thanks, Eric. So, not to get too far into the weeds here, but we have a ordinance that requires that fats, oils, and greases to our treatment plant have to be under 100 milligrams per liter. ConAgra has been running at an average of 400 milligrams per liter, and that's been having a detrimental impact on the operation of our plant. We do believe this has something to do with the way that the filters have not been working as anticipated. So there was some sort of a change in 2022. We've gone through, and Paul Sturck and I and Eric have met with members of ConAgra on probably 20 occasions since I started to try to resolve this issue. ConAgra has really stepped to the plate here and said, if you build it, we'll pay for it, and we'll pay for it in a reasonable amount of time. And so the agreement that's in your packet is that the city will construct this dissolved air flotation system at a cost of somewhere between $7 and $8 million. ConAgra will pay for the construction as we go, so I believe it's within 30 days of invoices. They will reimburse us. Then once the system is in operation, we'll keep track of our costs, and they will reimburse us 100% of the cost. So this is something that ConAgra doesn't want to own, because they don't want to have to hire a wastewater operator, where we can have someone that spends maybe an hour a day there, whereas if they hired someone who'd spend an hour a day operating this, would have nothing to do for the other 7 hours of the day. It's also downstream of our equalization tanks, and so it'd be a little awkward in that their wastewater would go to our tanks, go back to their DAF, and then back to our treatment plant. So it makes some sense for us to own the entire process. So in your packet is a couple of I included a couple of
Mr. Schofield, have we had agreements with ConAgra in the past similar to this, and or has it worked out?
Yeah, so we've had an agreement with ConAgra dating back to, I believe, 1972 for the operation of the equalization tanks. So In that case, I believe they paid us over a 3-year period for some improvements to the equalization tank. And then they pay us 100% of the operation of those equalization tanks as well.
But just to confirm, that's pretty much the same scenario as what this is gonna be, something that we've had in place for a while. This is just basically adding on to it for another building, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question. The sanitaries, I know that they're a pretty big user of our waste treatment plant. And if this process works, it's actually gonna help us a lot in the long run with our treatment plant. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so this DAF will capture fats, oils, and greases. It will also capture BOD, which is what our treatment plant, it's the food for the bugs, so to speak. And then we'll divert this into our digester. So we'll avoid, it'll reduce some of the pressure on the headworks of the plant. It'll reduce pressure on the funnel clarifiers, the sand filters, all that stuff. Because we'll get into the place that we want it to be the whole time, the digester. But we are still, just to be clear, we are still dealing with it. So there's some provisions in this agreement as well as prior agreements where we test our water at the equalization tank and then they pay a surcharge based on those test results. We're going to continue to do that because we're still dealing with this waste that's just going into a different part of our plant.
One more question. Project of this size and scope, what are we looking for a time frame?
My anticipation is that this will be constructed by the end of '26. So it'll be 24 months here. The next agenda item is to approve an engineering contract to do the bidding and the contract administration for the work. The ConAgra has hired me and Hunt to do all of the design plans for the project. We knew we'd eventually have to get to that point. They wanted to move the ball forward, so they've spent 100% of the engineering costs to date, and we have a 95% plan set available to us to turn around and make into a bidding documents and get going.
Good, thank you. Anything else you want to add? And I know Gretchen's got a hand up.
I'll happy to answer your question.
Gretchen?
In reading the agreement, I appreciate ConAgra's and our working together on it. It looked like it was very sound. I'm curious about, for future past, once it's created, is there any provision for, does ConAgra, well, I'll ask later maybe, but future costs, since we're gonna be doing about an hour a day, potentially, working in just that facility, and that is specific only, is there any capability for anything else to go through there, or is it purely a ConAgra facility?
This is only a ConAgra facility, so
Right.
we have a lift station that lifts their waste into the equalization tanks
Okay.
and then goes through the DAF. We don't send general city flows through.
Okay, good. So further down the line, when there's maintenance and the work that we're doing on it, and if there's a change in process at ConAgra, for example, and maybe there's an increase in, whatever, hopefully not for our health with food coming in there, but I assume that, anything could happen future-wise in the deterioration of the facility. Do we have anything in place for further along the line?
Yeah, the maintenance of the facility in perpetuity is included in this agreement.
Oh, okay, I missed it.
I'll use a kind of an obvious example, so that there's a tanker truck that's going to back into this building, get what's called float out of the tank, and take it over to the digester. It's in the agreement that they'll pay for that tanker. It's also in the agreement they'll pay for any replacements of that tanker. So they're.
Okay, good. I read about the tanker. It wasn't completely clear what it was doing, but awesome. Okay, thank you.
If I can add on that too, we tried to contemplate pretty much any hidden cost that could be associated with it and threw it in. And we sent over the agreement draft to ConAgra, they had no issues with it. So the hour a day for the individual to be there from the city would be reimbursed. We went down to things such as fuel for the tanker truck, insurance, any increase on insurance for the building, they're covering. We tried to be as whole as possible on that part, and they didn't have any issue with it, and we think we covered our bases on that. So pretty much any cost you can think associated with it, they'll reimburse
Okay, Ryan and Mary. Ryan, go ahead.
What happens, where does this sludge that comes off the top go? And is that something that the city's also responsible for going into the future if for some reason it's harder to dispose of or anything like that?
Yeah, so the sludge, the float that comes off the top will go to our digester. So the digester, the ultimate byproduct of the digester is the sludge that we land apply to fields. And so it'll eventually go to the digester, and then it gets digested, and then the remnants go to the tanks that are out by Cardinal Glass, and then eventually twice a year get land applied. So we still do get that material, so we're not changing the material we accept, we just are putting it into a different part of the plant that's better to handle.
Okay, so there's going to be a tanker truck that's basically going a block between.
Yep, we did look at, or their engineer, yeah. Their engineer actually looked at the possibility of digging a pipeline in between the two buildings. The problem with the float is, cake batter is probably not the right term, but it's in that range, and so it doesn't pump very well. And particularly when you're going underground where it's 55 to 60 degrees, we're concerned about that kind of consolidating and then posing problems. So there's a tanker truck that will go back and forth. I believe we figured 3 times a week. Otherwise, it'll be parked at the DAF facility, and then it'll just come across on occasion to bring it over to the digester.
Okay. What's the expected lifespan of this addition?
Well, it depends on maintenance, of course. It's a pre-engineered metal building, and over equipment that is probably a 30 to 40 year life. And then as we go, I'm sure there's going to be some maintenance costs to replace bits and pieces of other parts. So I would say probably in that 30 to 40 years.
Right, and that does also include to say that initial tanker truck purchase, if something happens with that, we need to purchase a new one. They will be paying for the new one in perpetuity going forward as well. It's not just with the initial, it's all maintenance and existing and new purchases in the future. Okay, thanks.
Mary.
Okay, the 2 lower tanks that we see up there, are they the ones that are currently down there now?
No, so this is only, and this is kind of an isometric view. Let me pick a different view. So those large tanks that you're thinking of, that's these 2 circular buildings here.
Okay.
The new DAF would be located to the east of them and roughly about the same size as one of the tanks. That area is currently the driveway, and their driveway is going to be shifted further east. So where their product leaves the plant, that's going to be maybe 40 feet to the east of where it is right now.
Okay. Second question, do we know, and I don't know what's in this stuff called float. I'm assuming it's all just food product. My question is, could it ever come to be that it's detrimental to the planting of the fields, and could it make the seed not work? I don't know, I'm not a chemist, but.
Yeah, well, we do run it through our digester, and so the material that we eventually put on the fields is not this material directly, it's kind of the byproduct of that digester. And yes, it's entirely possible that there are constituents in wastewater that pose problems. One of the things that we found out over the last 5 years is the DNR is increasingly regulating PFAS in wastewater. And so we have done some testing on our sludge to make sure that we are in compliance with the PFAS limits of the DNR's requirements. As of right now, we are. If we got to the point where we were above 20 nanograms per kilogram, I think that's right, either nanograms or micrograms per kilogram, we eventually would have to start notifying the farmers that we land apply, but at this point we don't believe that to be an issue. And Conamber has not been a source of PFAS as far as we know in the past.
Okay, now I'm going to show my ignorance here. Explain what PFAS is.
PFAS is, the material on your frying pan that makes the eggs not stick to the pan? That's PFAS, and it's I'm not going to get into the I can't say the full name of it, but it's a very long chain inorganic material that we developed in the 1950s and 60s, and it was great, and now it's not so great. And so there are some companies that discharge materials that have PFAS in them, and the DNR and EPA are increasingly clamping down on that.
Forever chemicals. Forever chemicals that you may hear on the news.
Okay. And then my final question. ConAgra, I know has been and is a great community contributor, and we appreciate their business and all the good that they do for our community. I'm saying that because I don't mean to be snarky. In the front, the cover letter of the development agreement, I think it was, yeah, or of this that we got, said that it was found for 4 times the amount, or 400 milligrams since 2022. But we didn't know about it until March of 2023. Or am I not understanding the timeline right?
No, I think the timeline was accurate. I think that, there was a lot of things happening during that time period with the new construction of the sewer plant and all kinds of different things happening. I think it was just an oversight probably by the city, I'm guessing. But I don't think it's anything that was meant to be taken out of context in any divisive ways.
Okay.
I think it was just, it's the way things happen. Am I accurate, Mr. Schofield?
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I don't want to suggest that ConAgra kind of hid anything. March of '23 is, obviously I started in January of '23. We did kind of a review of all of our processes, and this is one of the things that when I met with Paul, he noted was an issue, so we jumped in right away, and we had a meeting with them in March. In no way want to insinuate that ConAgra is hiding anything. It's just that's part of their wastewater, and we're working through it.
That's pretty accurate, Mary.
It kind of sounds like we dropped the ball.
Well, I don't know if that's the case or not. I think when you have so many irons in the fire, a new way of treating our waste, a new process, and then trying to juggle all of the different things that are coming at us at once, I don't think it was an oversight as much as it was just fate. And I think that's how I would deem it.
Okay. I'll take that.
Anything else? Mr. Schofield, do you want to elaborate on anything else? Otherwise, I think we've got probably a pretty good knowledge for the vote anyways. I know we could get into the weeds really deep on this, but I know we've got a lot of meeting ahead of us too. I think for what it's worth, I think ConAgra coming forward with this type of an agreement, for them being willing to fend off the cost, they're a great asset to the city of Menomonie, and we certainly wouldn't want to lose them. They also support our current sewer system as it is. I think we should behoove this opportunity and make this happen. So with that, Gretchen, we got your finger up?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the DAF construction and maintenance agreement with ConAgra as presented.
Okay. Lee, Laura?
I'll second Gretchen's motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Lee, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to speak about this timeline. I mean, ConAgra, once this was discovered, had to find an engineering firm. So I assume they went out and looked who they wanted to get bids from. And you look at these drawings, they didn't materialize overnight. This has been moving. Didn't just start this last week. This has been going on for, I don't know, probably a year to get to where they got now. So just in defense of the timing on this thing, you finally got a problem and it takes a long time to solve the problem.
Yeah, and I agree with you too, Lee, and that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Otherwise, we'll go to a vote. Okay, roll call vote.
Luther,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gentz,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Slug,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld.
Yes.
to our next piece of business for C, approve engineering services task order with Cedar Corporation for DAF. Eric, you want to raise up to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is tied in with item 4B. This is to provide a task order for Cedar Corporation to Laura for the staff. I'm going to give it to David to provide more explanation and for Kevin to be able to talk about it as well.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, ConAgra had hired Mead and Hunt to do the design of the system. I felt that it would be worthwhile to have a local engineer involved in the process. Mead and Hunt is ConAgra's engineer, and as this would be our system, I felt like our engineer should be involved. Cedar Corporation is willing to partner with Mead and Hunt, so Mead and Hunt will be providing kind of technical review of shop drawings and that sort of thing. Cedar Corporation providing the remainder of the work, including the construction observation on site, on a daily basis. So the total amount is $661,500, and as per the agreement that was just approved, ConAgra will pay 100% of that cost.
Well, I think it's highly important that we have a local firm that we can trust to help with this project along with teaming up. Sounds like a good pair. Do you want to bring us up to speed a little bit on this as well?
Yes, so,
Talk about it, please.
yeah, so basically what David outlined, we would be taking over, from the construction plans, the design that Mead and Hunt had put together, basically followed through the construction stage. Basically, the first part will be obviously to get it out for bids. Those bid results will be brought back to the city council for consideration. From there, then it's gonna get into all the construction admin, which there's a number of things that are involved in that with shop drawing approvals. And then from there, then obviously we would get into the construction component of it. There'll be a full-time resident inspector that'll be involved. And like what David mentioned, it's gonna be about a 2-year process just to see how to the final stage, so.
That sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Oyman, for that piece of information. Being a senior engineer, I appreciate you being here tonight, and I think it's important that this goes full circle and we make this happen. So with that, I think we're good. Any other discussion pieces? Roll call vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Lois. Oh, we need a motion, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Quick question, so Cedar Corp is gonna be paying for this, is it paying as the work is done, quarterly or something? Or how much do we have to put out?
Yeah, we pay Cedar on a monthly basis.
Monthly, got it, okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, can we find it? I'd like to make a motion to approve the task order for engineering services for the DAF with Cedar Corporation in the amount of $661,500.
Okay, good motion, Ben. Thank you. Is there a second to Laura's motion? Mary?
I will second Laura's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Round, go ahead, please.
So this $661,500 is just going to Cedar Corp to partner with this other engineering firm? Is that correct?
So there's a lot that goes into it, kind of what Kevin and David said. They have the kind of building plan phase, and what they were saying about the person on site, so every single day that there's construction on it, there's going to be someone from Cedar Corp there, basically looking out for the city's best interest, make sure everything gets built how it should. If there's issues they pointed out, it would get fixed at that point. So yes, the $661,500 is going to Cedar Corp on it, but it's over, it's a 2-year period and there's a lot that goes into it. Plus it's fully reimbursed from ConAgra.
The Mead and Hunt, the construction phase of Mead and Hunt is a subcontract to Cedar. So we're seeing the total amount. A portion of the 661 will go to Mead and Hunt.
Okay, because I was going to say, if that's just going to a couple people at Cedar Corp running their own business.
They got to pay for that building, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion on this? Roll call vote, please.
Crowe,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko,
Yes.
McCullough. Yes. Schweppes,
Yes.
Gents,
Yes.
Solbert,
Yes.
Schlimm,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That brings us down to 4D, award Pine Avenue reconstruction contract. This is kind of a project that's all-inclusive of not only Pine Avenue, but the other elements along with it. The pickleball court, the hoops, basketball court, and other things too, so batting cages, I believe. So David, maybe you can bring us up to speed on this as well.
Yeah, as they used to say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so up on the screen here is a picture of the project area. So the project includes Pine Avenue from Wilson Street to Game Park Road. So that's a total reconstruction, roadway, sidewalk. There's actually going to be a trail on the north side rather than just a 5-foot sidewalk against back curb. The parking areas along diamond number 2 will be resurfaced. That's kind of what's Schedule A in the contract if you look through the bid tabulation. And then we have kind of 3 additional areas. Number 1 is the basketball court. So we've got a basketball court, a full-size basketball court, and then 2 just lane areas for bigger guys like me that don't like to run the full length of the court. So that is on the south end. Pickleball, we'll be adding 2 additional pickleball courts just to the north of that. If you have been out there, the existing area is kind of shaped like a P, and there's a kind of an open area just to the south of it, and then kind of that used to be a Tetris player. It looks like a Tetris piece. So with the basketball court, if we did do the pickleball courts, we'd have kind of a weird grass area, and so we felt like this is the right time to do this. We have heavy equipment in the area, doing a bunch of fencing, we're doing a bunch of surfacing with that epoxy surface on top of it. This felt like the right time to do this. The basketball court, at the far southwest corner of the basketball court, there's an existing single batting cage, and so we looked at adding, there's an existing single batting cage over by the Wakanda Elementary School driveway. We looked at consolidating those and expanding it to 4 batting cages in the same general vicinity. So that area is kind of partially where the existing batting cage is, and partially into some woods. It's actually quite level there. It's a little hard to see from the road with all the trees on top of it. But we felt like this was a good kind of combination thing. All these projects alone would cost more than doing them all together. We benefit from an economy of scale of building a larger project while we have one contractor there and doing a bunch of different work. So the total amount of the bids was $1,403,204.95. In the packet, I referenced that portion of this project is being funded by ARPA. So the basketball court and baseball are both ARPA-related projects. Pickleball is not an ARPA project, but we did include it in the Fund 33 budgets that were approved at your last meeting. And so you'll see a little bit later on the agenda some ARPA reallocations, but trying to make sure that those ARPA allocations match these bids are. We tried to match that exactly. So we are recommending award of all 4 schedules for the entire contract. The Haas in the amount of $1,403,204.95.
Okay, Mr. Schofield, thank you for that information. Matthew?
I noticed that Haas is out of Fort Wisconsin, and it said that bids were received from 5 bidders. Low range was 1.4 million, high range was 1.8 million. Any of those other 4 bidders, local contractors, that might be a little bit more expensive, but keep the money here in Menomonie.
Second was Albrightson out of Woodville. Third was A1 Excavating out of Bloomer. Fourth was Pember out of Menomonie, and 5th was Stout Construction out of Chautauqua. State bidding law requires us to go with the low bidder. We cannot base it on locality.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to put a motion to award the Pine Avenue reconstruction project contract to Haas Sons Inc. at a cost of $1,403,204
Okay, good motion, Ben. Thank you for that motion. Is there a second to that motion? Matthew, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'll second the first motion.
Motion made, seconded, any additional discussion? Eric?
You know, just briefly speaking, I've talked about this before, you know, having firsthand experience with these two groups. Becky was here, I know her quite well with Hoop Club. They do an outstanding job, phenomenal, helping the athletes and basketball players in the city. As a matter of fact, they just had, and I've mentioned this in the past, each year they have different tournaments, a lot of things going on. It was just this last weekend, they had a tournament, 32 teams, two-day tournament. Each team played at least five games, Saturday and Sunday. Brings in a lot of families to the area and monies. We talked about Wakanda, Randy and the council. We did a really nice job. Maybe it was about 8 or 10 years ago. We redid that concession area, made that really nice. I know there was a lot of people helping out, making that happen. Beautiful place down there, and I speak of it in the summer, going down to Wakanda on these, when all those fields are being used, it's unbelievable. It's a great thing. So I strongly support this. Having a basketball hoop there, I think that's something that's been in the works for some time. Had a lot of basketball players in Menomonie that I think it would really help. And these young kids, get them off these devices and get them out there doing some athletic stuff. I've been in a lot of batting cages in the area, in a large area, and Menomonie's, and I'm sure Luke knows this as well. I mean, it's subpar by far. Having a nice batting cage is really gonna help these kids out and make it much safer for sure. That's all I have, Randy. Thanks.
Well, Eric, I absolutely agree. The more we can do for our younger generations to get them outside, away from the TV sets, the computers and the devices, absolutely 100%. And I think this particular project with the batting cages and the basketball hoops and the pickleball all flows into that goal. So that's a really good point made, Eric, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Gretchen?
Having seen the evolution of Wakanda since the drive-in movie theater, Disney, I wanted to call out also not just the glory things like the actual courts, but some of those details I really appreciate, the sidewalks, the walkways, to delineate that intersection there, Game Park Road and Pine Avenue, is really gonna help just with just the whole accessibility, the safety for all the kids running around, and keeping the integrity of some of the open space that is also really valuable there. But I mean, because nobody ever was hanging out where the pickleball courts are. People don't hang out there; they hang out in the trees, and that's perfect use because those are always super full. So it's not just the courts about this project that I appreciate, but it's all those little details that are going to add to the park a lot and really enhance it in multiple ways.
Well, that's a worthwhile statement as well. If I had my druthers, I would add the other 4 courts onto this project as well, and just, as long as we're digging up the ground, do the whole thing. But I know when it comes to money and time and all of these things, because I've seen those pickleball courts where you cannot get on in the morning, or even in the afternoon, and now younger players are starting to come down all the time. I know that, oh my gosh, I had so much fun down there, and I just started playing. It's like a game of ping pong, standing on the table and boom, boom, boom. But, like Eric said, the more we can do for our youth, and he also brought up the point that I think it was 6 years ago when Luke Welch and a bunch of folks, were talking about the baseball fields and softball and how rough a shape they were in. And there was a solid effort then to make those areas more playable and update the ball would go underneath the fence, or the dugouts weren't safe, for all of that. And boy, now I think we're probably maybe not the envy, but we've scaled up the game quite a bit. And so this addition onto that, all of these attributes is just a plus, and it's a feather in Menomonie's cap to be looking forward to these kind of things. So with that, any other discussion? We need to take it for a vote. I'm going to go with Chad first. Go ahead, Chad.
I'm just wondering if there's provisions in the contract for keeping Mitch's pool open, and then what about access through the I'm assuming that this is gonna be done when the school is out, so I don't think that's gonna be a problem, but.
No, it'll start before school is done, so we do have a provision that they have to keep access to the driveway to the pool and elementary school from either the east or the west at all times. So there will be times where it'll only be accessed from the east or only to the west. We do have in the plans detours for those periods. The only area that we weren't able to entirely avoid impacts was in that intersection of Game Park Road and Pine. That intersection is gonna have to be done under traffic, so there's a storm sewer that has to run across there and some curbing. That'll have to be done under traffic, because there was no other way to get people eastbound, actually, was the problem. But we do have traffic control in the bids. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Rylan?
With the crosswalks, especially by the pickleball courts there, any plans to have flashing crosswalk signs or anything like that? Because just looking at, when I've been down there and seen how, for being a park, how fast some people drive. While I appreciate, crosswalk markings on the pavement, just that reminder to people that they are driving through a park. Some of those safety things seem like now is the time to do that.
Yeah, so at the baseball field, we did relocate the crosswalk to the west side of that intersection right now. They come out kind of off the walkway near the bathroom building, so they come out literally between cars in traffic. We moved that off to the west to try to separate them from the parking lot area. At the east end, we do have a crosswalk kind of off the pickleball areas. We were not proposing, the flashing lights are called RRFBs, or rapid rectangular flashing beacons. We were not proposing them here. Those are about $25,000 a piece. I don't think the volume of pedestrians is high enough to justify that. But we do have signs, crosswalk with an arrow next to it.
Mary?
I want to plant a seed in your mind. I don't know how it changing to a trail would be better than a sidewalk, other than it'd be wider, obviously. But Pine Avenue, the sidewalk as you're leaving the school ground, and I'm talking as a bus driver, the little kids, there's no adults around, and the kids crawl up the hill and come onto the sidewalk, and they're pushing and shoving and knocking somebody off their bike, and, once in a while, a kid will fall into the street, and the street is busy, it's backed up, and traffic everywhere. If there's a chance that could put some sort of a fencing up, and there again, it's just a seed that could keep the kids on the trail or on the sidewalk and not give them an opportunity to fall into traffic.
We don't have a fence in there, but we do have a boulevard. So right now, the sidewalk it's a 5-foot sidewalk directly against back of the curb, which is not a good situation. There's nowhere for the snow to be stored. Kids are right on top of the curb and gutter. What we have on there right now, I believe it's an 8-foot concrete trail with a 3-foot grass boulevard, 3 or 4 foot, I can't remember.
That'll help.
So that'll provide separation. We'll also provide a space when we do plowing. Right now, we plow on the sidewalk, and then those owners dutifully throw it back in the road and then leave. So by providing some snow storage area there, we can, we're not gonna fight each other on where that snow is gonna sit.
Okay, thank you.
Good seed to go to plant, and while you're talking about that seed, it would have been kind of interesting to have the trail come down through there to connect onto our other trail, but maybe in the future we can make modifications. But with that being said, any other discussion? Otherwise, we need to go to vote on this. Okay, roll call vote.
Sutherland?
Yes.
Yanko?
Yes.
McCullough?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Gens?
Yes.
Solberg?
Yes.
Schlup?
Yes.
Erdman?
Yes.
Summerfeld?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Crowell?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For the Award Leisure Services Center bathroom renovation contract, the Leisure Services is of course a very well-used facility, and got some upgrades that we can be done there, and I'm gonna turn it over to Eric. Eric?
Yeah, so Leisure Services Center needed some upgrades to its bathroom, so we started exploring what can be done to improve that site. Initially, we had gotten some base quotes for some upgrades, and they came in considerably lower than what we have for you today. But the reason why you're seeing a higher quote today is because we felt it was imperative to start looking at upgrading our facilities to make sure that we're Americans with Disabilities Act compliant. So there's your ADA compliance you've heard about before, as well as creating things like night changing tables and being able to make it accessible so persons who are in a wheelchair can actually get into the restrooms without having to be carried to the toilet. So we felt it was very important to do that. That's why we went on the quotes to cover it. Both David Summerfield and Mitch Stein did an excellent job in partnership with Cedar Corp. I'm gonna turn it over to them to let them explain it to you a little bit more in detail as to what we're looking to accomplish here at our Leisure Services Center.
Yeah, so on the screen here is kind of a map of the building. If you haven't been in there, we have two sets of bathrooms on the east side, which is kind of near the senior center library. There are two multi-user bathrooms. On the west side over by the gym, there are two multi-user bathrooms. None of the four bathrooms are accessible. So, obviously this is the senior center. We do have kind of a higher than average rate of folks that might be in some way disabled. And at this point, you could not move someone to, as Eric mentioned, to the toilet without actually carrying us. In addition, and maybe Mitch can speak to this, we do host a number of groups that thrill seekers and others that need a higher level of care in the building. So we looked at ways of improving that. The western bathrooms will just be essentially replacing the existing fixtures, the toilets, the sinks, the urinals. But that bathroom is roughly staying, those bathrooms are roughly staying the same. The other bathroom, the eastern bathrooms, will be converted to single-user bathrooms with just a locking door, so there would not be partitions inside. There isn't enough room to meet ADA compliance with multiple users in that bathroom. On the north side of that, it says T811. That's an adult changing table. So this is for, there are a number, we met with a couple of families, Eric and I did, and Mitch, families that have their children, but they're 25 years old, that are intellectually or emotionally younger than that. And so they are still using diapers. And so right now, those families have told the stories of having to change their diapers on the floor of a bathroom. And you can imagine how that works. And so this allows us, by changing it to a single-user bathroom, it does allow us to put an adult changing table in that northern bathroom. Those are still labeled as men's and women's. Those will be unisex bathrooms. So we'll have the men's bathroom by the gym, women's bathroom by the gym, and then two unisex bathrooms on the east side of the building. So we had set aside $30,000 in ARPA for this project based on some quotes that we received, essentially just to replace fixtures. But as we got into the ADA accessibility issues, we needed to make some changes. On this bathroom, you can see there's some areas of wall that are kind of lighter in color. We actually have to rip out the existing doorway and a portion of a closet in order to make a larger doorway that can be accessible to wheelchairs. So we did go out for bids. We received two bids from Heft and from Grand Builders Services. We are recommending the award of the contract to Grand Builders Service in an amount of $86,040. I believe the other proposal was within $1,000 of that. So we have two proposals and very close to that.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the staff that put this together, also our chief building inspector too, for providing guidance as to what needs to be done to make sure that we are compliant. And we just feel strongly that this is the right thing to do to make it an accessible building for everybody here in Menomonie should they need to use it. Thank you, Mayor.
Good, thank you. I would totally support this. I think we should just move forward and if anybody has any discussion discussion items, we can do that, or if everybody'd like to make a motion, we can do that this time. Ron, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to approve or award the Leisure Service Center bathroom renovation contract to Grand Builders Service at a cost of $86,040 using ARPA funds.
So there's some additional,
It's not utilizing all the other funds.
it's utilizing a portion of our, correct, yeah, Mr. Schofield?
If you,
Turn your mic on.
I'm sorry, if we get into item K on the agenda and that is approved, it would be 100% ARPA funds.
Oh, good.
So if you could remove the ARPA portion now from your motion.
Yep, I would remove the ARPA portion from my motion.
Can you restate your motion just to be clear?
Award the Leisure Service Center bathroom renovation contract to Grand Building Services at a cost of $86,040.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion, Randy?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yonko,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schwepp,
Yes.
Gens,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to, for F, award City Hall office improvement contracts. Eric, can you start with this?
Yeah, absolutely, thank you, Mayor. So what we're looking at doing is doing some renovations inside of City Hall offices, primarily in two wings. One on the administrative wing, and that is we have a kind of a closet type area that we are looking to add a desk in that area. So that way we can put staff in there and work, as well as on the inspections department. We are looking to add space because we would like to move our city clerk into the inspections area. Right now, our city clerk and her deputy clerk are operating at the very front of our administrative wing. And, which, it works in a way, but in another way, is that they become the de facto sort of reception for our administrative wing. And so while they're trying to concentrate and get work done and make sure that we have accurate elections, make sure that we have record keeping that is done, they have to constantly be interrupted by the window. Moving to the inspections area, not only can they have the ability to be able to do the job at a much higher functioning level, they can also provide cooperative assistance to inspections as well, which is much like we did when we were up on the third floor. For planning purposes, on our administrative wing, in all likelihood, we'll look at some sort of reception in partnership with Manpower in the future, but this will allow for our clerk and deputy clerk and inspections, in my opinion, to thrive. And so what you have before you today are some quotes from a local business that we'd like you to take into consideration. Turn it over to our clerk or our chief building inspector. By the way, he's the building inspector of the year, if you do hand over to him. I just want to remind people of that. Either one of you like to comment
Dan
on
Canadian,
the
anything
works?
to say about this move?
Are you guys Viking fans or Tiger fans? We are spreading
out
the
the
Viking love.
No.
We
You know,
work together with you upstairs, so yeah, we got the room, so.
Yeah, and we started as house divided when I first started as clerk.
Yep.
I think we can continue
We
as
still
house
are,
divided.
we still have the
Peacefully.
banner up, yeah.
Okay, good, agreed.
I mean, we moved down,
Okay.
when we moved down there in 2001, was it? We didn't take any reservations like the finance side did. We scavenged together cabinets, old stuff, just to make it work. And so now with these ARPA funds, we're looking to make our front counter a little bit nicer looking. A little more welcoming, and then we can use another closet that has all our paper and other business stuff in it. Can go in these new cabinets up front, and then the clerk will also have room to have some her stuff too, so.
Okay, I really like to keep this meeting moving, so if we could keep, important dialogue only, that'd be great. If anybody would like to support this, we can do that in motion, or if you have discussion, go ahead. So I open the floor to council. Lee, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to award the City Hall office improvements contracts to Builders First Source, Done Right Construction, and Eau Claire Business Interior at a total cost of $28,810.14.
Good motion, thank you, Lee. Is there a second to that motion? Mary?
I will second Lee's motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
McCullough? Yes. Schweitz?
Yes.
Gantz?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Schlu?
Yes.
Erdman?
Yes.
Sommerfeld?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Crow?
Yes.
Sutherland?
Yes.
Yanko?
Yes.
Okay, go Pack, go. Under 4G, award Boulevard tree replacement contract. Eric?
All right, we will not talk about the Vikings this time. So we had cut down a considerable number of ash trees, and we are looking to replace that ash trees with some trees that hopefully will last much longer and be more stable for our environment. We have a variety of funds that are available for it. We do have Ms. Hines here in the audience who does want to talk a little bit about our trees and this particular, if I can have her step up to the podium, please.
You're the timer on here, just curious.
Yeah, start your stopwatch, Mayor. So looking as I've come in front of you for several grants in the past year, several years, we've talked about grants. We've advocated for additional budget funds. As your memo says, we've removed over 600 ash trees in the last 2 years. We anticipate we have 400-ish more to go. Our city community services staff are the staff that are kind of cutting down all of these trees. They have been working again since about middle of November, so just about a month, and they have taken down over 80 ash trees this year. So far the weather has cooperated. However, if we do have a super snowy winter, they will be slowed down because when they cut trees when they're not plowing. So weather dependent, we'll have several years left of cutting down ash trees. So looking to support the planting of trees, and especially trees that are a little bit larger in size. We have a gravel bed nursery that supports bare root trees that are 1 inch to 1.5 inches in caliber, which is kind of the diameter of the tree. And the trees we're looking to plant using these funds that'll, if you approve it in this motion, and then will be really allocated in option 4K for using ARPA funds. We're looking to plant an additional 73 trees. Staff obtained quotes from a couple of sources, several that were ones we have purchased from before, and then the one that we are asking for it to be awarded to is a new contractor to the city. It's called Legacy Trees. They are out of the La Crosse area. We have not yet purchased trees from them. However, our city forester, Derek Hall, has had some conversations with them and has talked to several communities who use them as a supplier of trees. And they all have wonderful things to say. It's a little bit different tree planting method. Instead of coming in a ball and burlap, like a big ball, they are planted basically on a piece of wood in a square. So the roots kind of go out in a circular fashion, so instead of becoming root bound in a container, they are come out. So they transplant much easier, so they have a much better success rate. And also with this company, they offer a 5-year warranty as long as we prune the trees 3 times in the first 5 years. They have records of that. That includes vandalism. There was a community that said they had planted trees about 3 weeks prior and had a car drive over one. So because of the system, they adhere into the ground much quicker. So that when the car hit that tree, it snapped up about 4 feet off. So it didn't actually pull the tree, it did not uproot the tree. And the Legacy Trees replaced the tree, no questions asked, as part of their warranty program. So this is a company the city is looking to utilize additionally in other monies as well, but we're hoping to purchase 73 trees for the $15,520 as shown as in the quote in your packet. With that, I can take questions.
Laura?
How many different varieties are we gonna?
Yeah, so one of the things we looked at was their availability of varieties. So all of the, Derek and has been doing a great job about diversifying our tree mix, so we hopefully don't have another one of these where we're cutting down thousands of trees due to disease or a pest. So all of the tree species that we have ordered in the past 3 years, they carry all of those same species. So we'll have plenty of diversity and plenty of availability for trees that are appropriate for our zone.
Okay, Megan, I know you're a little bit on the modest side, but I understand you've got some monies as grant monies. Can you give us some information on that, please?
Yes, so I came in front of this board earlier this fall to apply for a DNR state grant for urban forestry. So we were notified in November that we were awarded that grant for 2025, just over $22,800. It's a one-to-one match, though a lot of the city's contribution will be in-kind staff time and equipment rates. So it won't be a super large cash outlay for the city. So that will be in addition to these monies, should you approve these.
Well, I think that's great information, and I appreciate the efforts of writing grants and making that happen is huge. And I know your success rate on writing grants and getting grants to the city of Menomonie has been outstanding. I don't know if your team choices is as good as it could be, but as far as writing grants.
Go Pack Go.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the good side.
Okay, I'm just making sure that we're all on the same team here. Gretchen.
I'd like to promote hockey, just saying. Anyway, I'm not gonna pick a team because we don't need to go there. I'd like to make a motion to award the Boulevard tree replacement contract for legacy trees at a cost of $15,520. And not part of the motion, but a thank you. I just wanted to continue to make note that trees, don't seem important, but they pretty much are important to every aspect of our community. And I mean, they hit all, housing and tourism and just like well-being and health and air quality and all that. So thank you for paying attention to things that I really value about Menomonie.
Okay, good motion, Riley.
I'll second Gretchen's motion. And then I have a question as well.
Go ahead, please.
How old or what size of trees are these?
So they're around 2 to 2.5 inch caliper trees.
Okay. And is that nursery method of having a flatter root, is that something that the city can look into doing? Because it does seem a little cost prohibitive to spend over $200 a tree on all 1,000 trees that we've cut down in the past couple of years. But it does seem like a good, from what you've said at least, a good transplanting method.
Yeah, I would say that it's probably not cost effective for the city to grow our own nursery. So these are grown like in a large field, similar to a ball and burlap tree. And some of the monies that we, through our budgets or through the grant and stuff, will be used on some of the bare root trees as well. We're not going to exclusively do these trees because, like you said, it is cost prohibitive to do all of the trees this way. And we have the gravel bed up at the park to utilize. So we will be doing some of that as well.
Any other questions for Gretchen? Or for Megan?
This is just the tree itself, it's not. Our city staff has to plant them?
Correct, city staff will plant them. These are the purchase of the tree, purchase and delivery of the trees itself.
Thank you. Any other questions for Megan? Any other questions for Megan? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Schutz,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Silbert,
Yes.
Schlut,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Bianco,
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 4H, consideration and proposed update city handbook. Eric?
Yeah, so before you today, and yes, I am largely to blame for your huge council packet for including the handbook in there, so I apologize for its size. What we wanted to do is update our employee handbook. There are no significant changes to anything in regards to benefit package. This is more detailing with language as it relates to how to update job descriptions. In the past, we brought all new job descriptions forward, and there was some concern, forward to this body, there was some concern that thought that was better to be handled more on an administrative level and a mayoral level. So we did make that change in the handbook. Also, we added lactation breaks and also making sure that we recognize the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to make sure that we have areas for people to provide lactation breaks in a safe and private area, as well as making sure that we do not discriminate against pregnant workers in the event that they are pregnant and they work for the city of Menomonie. Also, due to our financial system that we updated to, we moved everybody to a bi-weekly payroll system. Our handbook had focused in on monthly paid employees as well as bi-weekly, so we moved language as it relates to this monthly paid, or we termed it as salary, so we use that as a loose term for it. And so that way we have benefit accruals based on the bi-weekly versus monthly rates. So that way employees know what their vacation time accruals look like per pay period, to try to clarify that language. Now, employees that do have collective bargaining agreements in place, like the police and the fire departments, their benefit packages and their work rules are largely handled through their collective bargaining agreements. This handbook represents or provides work rules for those employees that are not representative or are exempt employees like myself who are salaried. Are there any questions about the handbook? And we would also like it to go into effect January 1st of 2025 if you are in support of it.
Okay, any questions for Eric? Otherwise, if anybody like to make a motion to support this, we do good at this time. Laura?
I'll move to approve the amended City of Menomonie Employee Handbook as presented, going into effect on January 1st, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion, Brad?
I'll second Laura's motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, simple majority, sir.
Okay, all in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Okay, moving on to the approval of the 2025 to 2029 farm leases. David?
Yes, so the city has 4 areas of farms, farmlands that we have bid out in the past. Actually, we have 5 in the past. There was a field at Kalen Park that we have excluded from this, this bidding. So in 2019, we went out for a 5-year contract for, I believe, 4 of the 5. I think we did a 3-year contract on one of them for reasons I don't really understand. In this case, we went with 5-year contracts for all of them. We did send it out to ultimately 6 different farmers that expressed interest. We did a publication in the Colfax Messenger notifying folks that this was out on the field, and then we have it on had it on our website as well. We ended up getting 4 bidders, 1 for each area. It turned out to be the same farmer that had it in the previous period. There are obviously when you farm some land, there are some kind of professional things that you do as you're setting up the phosphorus and potassium and the various things that you have in the soil to promote the crops. And so my guess is that each farmer is comfortable with the land that they have been doing that on and wanted to continue in that area. So in your packet, there's a breakdown of each of the bids. None of the farmers bid on more than one area. So Tim Taylor bid $75 per acre per year on area A. John Govan of Govan Meats and Berries bid $55 per acre per year on area B. Troy Baling bid $120 per acre per year on area C. That's the area east of Lookout Road. And then Tony Govan of AgriShop Diversified Services bid $76 per acre per year for the Tech Park area. So we're recommending award of each of those areas at those costs.
Okay, thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, so these are generally areas that were purchased to support industrial development that have not yet been developed. So if that is to be developed in the future for industrial purposes, what happens to this lease? Do we just wait till after the lease is done to start developing on that?
So we can sell all these fields out right from under these folks. We do have to pay them for the value of the materials that are in the soil. So if they planted a corn crop and they fertilized it, we owe them the cost of fertilization and the corn and whatever they have for field prep. But in the end, if we had a $10 million development coming in, the cost of reimbursing them for that cost would be a drop in the bucket in the overall scheme of the project. So we have another long-term lease with the Quillings on the land that is now 1018. We've, developed pieces of it. We've notified him as long as early as we can that we intend on selling it. And, we have to reimburse them for his costs. But
Okay, anybody like to make a motion to support this? We can do that. Matthew, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 through 2029 farm leases to Tim Taylor, Area A, Groveland's Meats and Berries, Area B, Troy Baling, Area C, and Eddie Shop Diversified Services, Area D, as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Jeff Luther.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any additional discussion? Roll call vote. Oh, wait. I'm sorry, my mistake. All in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Squeeze things up. Okay, consideration of resolution 2024-22 regarding proposed building inspection department permit fee.
Yeah, I can start it off and then turn it over to our chief building inspector. So there's been quite some time since we've taken a look at our inspection fee schedule. And we had asked our chief building inspector to take a look at other communities as to what they're doing and assessing what is the most proper type fee schedule to establish. He has presented his thoughts on what he feels that our fee schedule should be set at. Chief Kobayashi, do you mind commenting on the fee schedule, please? And your findings?
Thank you, Dirk. As I took position here 3-4 years ago, our fees haven't been adjusted since 2007. And so when we took them out of each code section or title section in our ordinance and put them into a fee schedule in 2023, we did raise them a little bit. We took them from $25 to $35 for a minimum fee. Now I'm coming back because if we look at our surrounding areas, Eau Claire, New Richmond, Ellsworth, Rice Lake, we're still less than them, quite a bit less. And I look at our third inspector that we've taken on now, Ben, the amount of time we spend with people educating them, but even being out in the field looking at stuff, I think our minimum fees need to be raised by at least $10. I think that's fair. I think if we'd have taken a $20 increase 2 years ago or a year ago, I didn't want to do it all at once. I want to do it in baby steps. So really, we just are affecting our minimum fees that went from 35 to 45. We define some areas, like the residential garage and accessory structures. We get a policy if it's 240 square feet or greater, that's a single stall garage, or typically a 24 by 24. Something less than that's gonna get charged less money, not that $75 fee. So, and we didn't even change that. So I mean, I kind of defined some different areas so that like decks that are 6 by 6 are a minimal fee, where somebody builds a 20 by 20 deck, it's gonna be a greater fee. So we define that a little bit. Our commercial world, we were low in, so we're taking some increases in there, but we're only taking it from like 2 cents as high as 6 cents. So 4 cents or 5 cents increase. Probably the bigger increases in our electrical side, it's commercial side. That's where we side contract with Maelstrom Inspections. He increased his fees last year. We didn't do anything. And I think this year we need to adjust for his services that he comes here for, what he charges, and then for his drive here too. So that's why we took an increase there. And that was like a $25 increase. I get calls all the time in our office, our fees are too cheap. I don't want to be cheap. I want to be fair. And I think by raising the prices that we're doing it, in my heart, we're still fair. So that's why I brought this to your guys' attention tonight.
Great, thank you, Dave. If anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Or Lee?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-22 regarding the building inspection department permit fee schedule.
Good motion, thank you. Is there a second to that motion, Eric?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Moving on to 4K. Consideration of resolution 2024-23 regarding ARPA/SLFRF reallocations, discussion of possible motion. Eric, I think we could bring us up to speed on this.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So as we're coming to the close of 2024, we're supposed to have our ARPA funds obligated. They don't have to be spent until the end of 2026, but they do need to be obligated. You've seen a lot of different ARPA presentations coming forward over this past year. We have some money that is left over from a lot of those different projects that came in under budget, or we decided to take another turn in another direction just because of project costs. What we have before you here is a list of those allocations and those funds that we would like to have council obligate before the end of this year. Our treasurer, Jamie Schindler, and our Director of Public Works, David Schofield, put a tremendous amount of work in putting in the spreadsheet with these funds and identifying where we had additional funds available. I'd like to turn it over to David Schofield to talk just for a few minutes about what you're seeing in front of you here tonight.
Thank you, Eric. So, we only jokingly referred to this as the beautiful mind spreadsheet. So there's that scene where Russell Crowe has got some stuff up in his garage trying to track down all sorts of weird things. So this is the spreadsheet that we kept track of the ARPA funding in. The yellow boxes are ones that we're proposing to change with this reallocation, which is resolution 2024-23. Some of the projects came in under budget. You can see on this page, the US Highway 12 trail, the sheds for Wolski Bay Park, and Winter Wonderland came in under budget. The Wilson Park walkways came in under budget, and then the Wakanda basketball court came in under budget. So we were able to take those funds and move them to other projects that weren't quite so lucky. The Wakanda basketball park, that was one that was approved earlier this evening, so that's why there's a couple extra yellow boxes on that one. The batting cages came in over budget. We had estimated $29,000, it came in $64,000, so we needed $35,000 to balance that item. The dog waste stations came in 26 cents over, so as you can see, we were fairly detailed in this review. So each of these projects we're adjusting forward or back a little bit. In the end, we moved approximately $161,000 in some projects and out of others, but in the end, it's a net. So we're not increasing the amount of ARPA that we're spending, we're not decreasing the amount of ARPA that we're spending. What we're doing with this is we're preserving the funds that we were given, because if we had allocated them to a project that didn't need them, we would have to give that money back, and then we'd have another project that was over budget, and we would have to spend 100% of that cost. So what we're asking for is to approve this reallocation. These are all projects that you have approved, either tonight or in previous months or years. In some cases, I think the state's back in 2022. So we're not asking to spend any more money, we're just asking to kind of square up our allocations.
The other nice thing that I'd like to mention about this particular document and why we're bringing this in front of you tonight is that this will help us when we, if and when that we are ever audited, both by the Department of Administration, and we have an annual audit, of course, by our auditors. So that way we make sure that we are following the rules and regulations that have been established for the actual use and distribution of ARPA funds.
Great, thank you, Eric. If anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Laura.
I'd like to move to approve resolution 2024-23 regarding ARPA-SLFRF reallocations.
Great, Gretchen.
I'll second that motion.
Motion being seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Moving down to 4L, consideration of ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance amending Title 3, Chapter 2, Section 2, room tax rate increase. I'll get started a little bit on this. When you go rent a hotel room anyplace, there's a surcharge tax. City of Menomonie gets currently about 7% of that dollar amount that's charged for that room, and that comes back to, a portion of it comes back to the city, a portion also gets spent on tourism. A lot of the areas are at 8% and higher. We were able 20% legally. And as far as the total dollar values, I'll hand it over to Eric, and I know Tammy Simon is here, the Director of Tourism as well this evening. So if we need to get into the weeds, we can, but I think it's functionality, it's money that is used to bring more people to Menomonie from a greater distance away. So I think it's important that we take a look at this adjustment. Eric?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So currently, right now, we have a 7% room tax established here in the city of Menomonie. Anytime someone that rents a hotel room, there's that 7% tax that's assessed to that service, and then that money is captured back in between tourism and then the city of Menomonie. City of Menomonie is allowed to retain 30% of that income that comes back to us. So when you do see our budget, you need to look at our revenues, you'll see on tourism, and it can vary anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year, depending upon how well our hospitality industry works. By state law, the maximum that our community can have for room tax is 8%. So you'd be looking at approximate $1.50 per night stay increase if you have around $100 a night hotel room, which is about the average for our community. Could it ever go higher? It could potentially, but there are certain caveats and rules that have to be met in order for it to go higher. Like if we ever added a large convention center here in our community through economic development package, then there are opportunities to go higher. But right now, what we're hoping to do is hope that you will support increasing that room tax from 7% to 8% to allow tourism to continue to do greater advertising and marketing in our area. We've had some great success with improving our hospitality industry, as well as it gives us some flexibility in revenues too, as well, to either offset general fund costs or to create certain incentives for economic development. And I would like to thank Ben Ludeman for putting together the ordinance too, as well, that's before you.
Okay, that's kind of in layman's terms, kind of all in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly try to answer questions, or if anybody would like to support this with motion, we can do so at this time also. We do have a tourism commission that does look at how the money is spent, tourism contract with the Chamber of Commerce here in Menomonie, and it's a pretty well-rounded, I guess, organized group that goes out and does a lot of marketing and functionality of bringing people to stay and work and play here in Menomonie, Wisconsin. So sometimes people visit on a whim, and then they decide, wow, this is a pretty cool town. Pretty soon they come back. Pretty soon they're living here, and the kids are going to school here, and everything else is working. So I think there's a lot being done, more so than just tourism. So that being said, I would support this. If somebody else with a motion, please.
How much more money you expect by the 1%?
On the city side, I would anticipate anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000. I don't want to give an exact amount, just because it can fluctuate in hospitality, depending on the seasons and what's happening in this area. But looking at the trends of what has been happening in Menomonie and seeing our tourism industry increasing through Explore Menomonie, I feel good saying conservatively we would at least see a $20,000 increase. One of the things that I failed to mention the first time too is that this money that comes through to the tourism and Explore Menomonie, they're able to help give out grants to the community for different kinds of projects that they do, which allows us to be able to have events, whether it's like hockey tournaments or baseball tournaments or any one of our festivals. It's something that really can benefit us all. So the money that comes in goes right back out into the community. To me, I think it's a really, really good setup.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Laura?
I just want to verify that it is ordinance 2024-17. Okay, it's out of order, so I just wanted to verify.
That's the way we write them up for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it looks weird.
then I'd like to introduce ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance amending section 3-2-2 of the city code to increase the room tax rate from 7% to 8%.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Is there a motion to waive the first reading? Ryla?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to waive the first reading.
Okay, is there a second? Mary?
I'll second Ryland's motion.
Motion made, seconded to waive the first reading. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And is there a motion to waive the second reading? Chad?
Make a motion to waive the second reading?
Okay, is there a second to that? Cody?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to waive the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Laura, would you like to make the motion to adopt said ordinance?
So move.
Okay. Hold on.
I did not. So Ben asked if I mentioned April 1st, 2025, and when the ordinance actually goes into effect. That is when that ordinance would go into effect versus January 1, 2025, or right now. The reason for that is it gives us time to notify the hoteliers that a change has been made. That way they can change their websites and their advertising and are able to prepare themselves on an accounting wise as well as a marketing piece as well. So thank you, Ben, for doing that.
Okay, it's in the ordinance, so your motion stands. Is there a second to that motion to, okay, go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, I'll second Laura's motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to support the ordinance for the tax increase, room tax increase from 7% to 8%. Any discussion on this? Okay, roll call vote.
Gans,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Schlu,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Bianco,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schlu, I'm sorry, Schweb.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to 4M, request from the police department to sell or dispose of surplus items. Police chief is here this evening, can we bring him up? Eric?
I'm almost embarrassed that I didn't get rid of this thing myself about 10 years ago. But I'm gonna let Chief Hollister explain what he'd like to do with this pickup truck that I'm afraid I might have neglected.
28 seconds or less, there, Mayor. It's a 2003, it's 21 years old. It requires maintenance just when you look at it, and we can probably get around with hauling things by using the UTV trailer that we're gonna get also. So we're in a good spot. We don't need to be putting money in, good money into something like that. So just good business.
Oh, I like how short you are, and your wordage. I like how you said that, very good. Steve?
No, this is the last vehicle we had painted the color that we had back in the days of Chief Beatty, so maybe it should be in the lobby or something.
Maybe it's a museum piece, maybe
Yeah,
the heritage.
Prospect might be looking for it.
I have heard it looks like the rolling Pepsi can.
Wonderful, right on.
So what is it, what do you currently use it for, or have you been using it for, and are we just gonna be spending $80,000 on a pickup truck?
No, you're not gonna spend $80,000 on a new pickup. What it is, this thing was, you have to go way back in history when we were at that old police department on 17th Street, and that was, we had the animal warden there. And so as we always had the animal warden, that person would have the truck to haul animals and evidence around, and there was the days of the house parties where you'd have 15 kegs of beer to haul around to the distributors to get for evidence. It was just used for all kinds of stuff like that. So moving forward, we're able to use it when we jump start it all the time, or replace it, or remove it for snow removal. But we're paying to use it all the time, so, and we can use the trailer, we can hook onto that with our utility vehicles. We've got hitches on our new vehicles that we order now. We just can pop in a receiver there and jump on that way. So it's just getting rid of one piece of equipment that we don't have to pay for insurance, for maintenance, and so forth.
Okay, and I guess my other question is, does it make sense for any of the other city departments to use it? I mean, it's almost as new as any other one, so.
Well, it's newer than most of mine, but I was waiting for it to go up on bid, so. Eric?
I don't even know if that thing's great for road travel right now. Putting it into reverse is a bit of a challenge. I think I'm just gonna stop there. I think that I would be awful on a Christmas card list if I handed that off to some other. It should go the way of the dodo, I'm afraid.
Okay, any other discussion, because we, Gretchen?
I wanted to Make a motion to authorize the police department to sell the surplus item as presented.
Okay, Lee?
Second motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded, any additional discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mayoral, that goes down to 4 and mayoral appointments to boards and commissions. Housing Authority, Paul Pillman and Derek Hughes. If anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Brian?
Yeah, I would make a motion to, where is that? To,
Bottom of the page.
yep, to approve the appointments of Paul Tillman and Derek Hughes to the housing authority.
Thank you. Okay, is there a second to that motion? Randy?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moves us down to budget transfers. Police Department has a budget transfer. Chief is here if we need to talk to him, otherwise Eric?
Yeah, so you have an internal budget transfer, so this is coming from an account that the police department has money in that they do not plan on spending this year, that they would like to transfer to a training budget to help pay for some computer forensic lab training. The person who was fully trained in that area had left the department for another job with the Department of Justice in Wisconsin, and now they need to be training other individuals to take that place. It is an exponentially expensive training. I am grateful that they do have money that they had saved in another account to do a transfer. Chief Hollister is here, who can also talk about that transfer, what he plans to do with the money if this body chooses to approve it.
Thank you, Eric. Is there, go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, make a motion to approve the budget transfer as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Mary?
I'll second Lee's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Schlü,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Danko,
Yes.
McCullough. Yes. Schwex,
Yes.
Gens.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Mayor's report. I'll be brief. There was a wonderful parade on Thursday night. It was cold, but we had pretty good attendance. And, you know, it's just fun to see families and people get outside and enjoy things. So the more that we can do, the better it is. Yeah. Packers won last night. And I don't care about the Vikings score right now. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to staff. We skip Eric. Eric, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I promise not to tell you about the Vikings again. Quick reminder, so in January, we have a couple council meetings. The first one is on January 6th, and then bear in mind, we would like to do the second one on Tuesday, January 21st. It's a Tuesday because the 20th is Martin Luther King Day, so our offices are closed, and also in honor of Martin Luther King, if it's okay with this group, to move it to Tuesday, the 21st at 7 p.m. And then lastly, too, you've heard a lot of talk about with ARPA dollars and planning that we've been doing this year, and also language as it comes to Americans with Disabilities Act. As we start looking at different projects with our facilities and playgrounds and other areas that are under our control, we'll be very mindful and trying to be sustainable and compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act moving forward. So you'll see a lot more of that as we continue to bring projects forward to this body for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Mr. Schofield?
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update on the well number 9 project. So they have drilled 2 test wells, one near the community garden in Phelan Park and the other near diamond number 7 at Honda. They are test pumping the well in Phelan Park this week. We started today. It's a 48-hour test. And then after January 6th, they'll do the one in Wakanda. So things are moving in respect to the well. We'll make a determination after we get the results of the testing on which site we want to focus on. But at this point, we're making good progress on it. So just want to give you folks an update.
Anything else, Mr. Schofield? Kevin?
Just today, we actually took the one building that's just adjacent to our new facility, 815 7th Avenue. American Express, the whole structure is basically down. It's probably gonna take a couple of days to remove all the debris and get the hole filled back in. But basically, that's gonna provide for some additional parking around the new facility. And then there was a full load of wood floor planking that was delivered today, so we're starting to see some of that stuff installed. So a lot of crane activity going on over there right now.
Great, thank you, Kevin. David? Okay, Ben? Kate? Go around the room. Lee? Laura? Rachel?
I do. I just wanted to say, since we've collaborated quite a bit with Scout students in the past for various projects, that part of this year's Scout Eco Engage series, the environmental science and sustainability capstone project presentations are coming up. They're on Wednesday, December 18th, so this Wednesday, at 2, they start at 2 p.m. and end at 3:20 p.m. On campus in Science Wing, Room 112. And some of the projects involves Historical Society wetland restoration, appropriate housing in Dunn County, parking photovoltaics on campus, freight farm at UW Stout, and secondary uses for household waste. So these are students semester long, these are seniors, they're doing semester long projects, and doing a lot of great things for the community, and just put it out there that there are lots of opportunities if you have ideas for the city and for the county, that there are resources in Stout that can work on those things.
Great, thank you, Gretchen. Eric? Matthew?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up that I'm seeing more and more of these postcards and letters and advertisements about LLCs buying their homes. And the LLCs have, a monopoly on homes in some communities, and it jacks up, your housing payments and your rent as well. So 2025 might be a good year to look at housing ordinances, the accessory dwelling units that the county passed, but also just looking at, some ordinances like this, limiting what LLCs can do to make sure there's not a monopoly and keep our housing market prices down at least.
Matthew, I want to talk to you about that sometime, so just hold on me with you on that. Jeff?
It's been 3 months since we opened up our city streets to ATV, UTVs. I was wondering if the chief could fill us in on if there's been any accidents involving those or any violations, and see how this project's going.
None.
Awesome.
We're fine with, going into this, I think, you can see the people were gonna police themselves if they wanted it. We've got a great ordinance put in place, and we can take action if needs with the ordinance, so we're sitting in a good place right now, and then we've got the UTV where we can be out doing patrols also, so it's a lot of good things with it.
All right, thank you. That's awesome news.
Okay, the other thing is, what we're gonna do is, in the future, we are gonna have this subject matter come up on an agenda item, so we can get into it more depth. But good question, thank you, good answer. Going around the room, Randy? Brad? Jeff? Mary?
Well, I would just say, I don't want to take too long, but just that the Vikings are losing.
They're losing?
Oh, I read that wrong, I'm sorry.
Just turned off. One in every crowd, isn't it? Cody? It's hard to follow that. Well, you know what, it is really a great time of the year to be thankful. Before the city council leaves this evening, after the meeting is over tonight, I would like to address all of you and perhaps have a photo up here of our current city council for 2024. And so before the council leaves tonight, I would like to do that. So moving on though, we need to finish up the rest of our meeting. So that being said, we need to move on into claims. We have a revised claims list this evening, so if anybody would like to support that with a motion, we can do so at this time. Riley?
Yeah, I would make a motion to pay the revised claims list
second to that motion? Randy?
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Schlute,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yako,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gens,
Yes.
Solberg.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us on to licenses. 9A, consideration of Class A beer license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2320 Highway 25 North, Menomonie Senex North. Discussion and possible action. This I would agree with. I think it's a good, worthy license. So if anybody would like to support this with a motion, we can do so at this time. Laura?
I'd like to move to approve the Class A beer license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2320 State Trunk Highway, 25 North, Menomonie, Senex North.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Matthew, go ahead, please.
I'll second Laura's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to licenses, 9B, consideration of Class A liquor cider only. License application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2320 Highway 25 North, Menomonie Senex North. Again, I think this is a legitimate license, and if somebody would like to support this with Rylan?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to approve the Class A liquor cider only license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2320 State Highway 25 North, Menomonie Senex North.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Randy?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Brings us down to 9C, consideration of reserve Class B liquor license for Corner Store M&M LLC located at 2302 South Broadway Street. That's the old Circle C location. Now, this one has some concerns for myself and staff. I know the chief is here, chief of police as well. I do not believe the gas station should be serving as a tavern. In regards to that, I would have reservations regarding this. Ben?
So the two licenses that you just approved, the Class A, that's for off-premise consumption. So it's basically like when you're going into a Quick Trip, you go into your cave, grab beer, pay for it, it's for off-site consumption. We have self-imposed quotas for that, that's not through state statute. Whereas this license, this would be a Class B. So if you have restaurants coming in town and they want to be able to sell mixed drinks, liquors along those lines, that's where these licenses come into play. I know when I started doing the city council work 2017, 2018, we did not have any available licenses. They were very hard to come by at that time. Currently, we do have 4 Class B reserve licenses. These are going to be based on population, so when population grows over a certain amount, the municipality would get another license, and that's what these ones are for. So as the mayor indicated, basically it would be service of liquor, beer, on-premise for on-premise consumption.
Okay, thank you. I think it's highly important to realize that sometimes I'm contacted of a new restaurant or a new tavern coming to town or so and so forth. I think we should be saving these reserve licenses for that application. I don't think this is a good resource for one of these liquor licenses. Eric?
One of the things that I want to comment on this particular location, so if they were to be granted this license, they would have to have a separate area that's devised for both consumption of the alcohol and serving the food. And there you see a rough sketch of what the area looks like. Currently, there is no wall that separates that area. So right now, they're not in compliance to even be able to be given on this license. This has been brought forward here to the council for consideration to see if this is something that you would even consider before that they would erect a wall. So obviously it would go to some considerable expense to create this area, and basically the small area then would be their quote-unquote As Mr. Ludeman had stated, that this is one of the 4 reserve licenses that we have in our community, which means that it's a $10,000 license in order to get it. And also to reiterate what he had said at one time when he joined us as our city attorney, they were very hard to come by. We had no reserve licenses that were available. And earlier tonight, that we saw one business that was coming forward on a development agreement to try to rehab a building. I think it is fair to say that we will have some opportunities to bring in some traditional restaurants that may want to be serving alcohol. And I would very much caution this body on giving this license for this particular business. The police department did do a background check on it. They did pass their background check. There's no issues there that would prohibit them or preclude them from it, other than that these are limited licenses that we have due to the quotas imposed on us by state law. Chief of Police is here also, and he can share with some of the concerns that he may have in trying to police a business such as this.
Okay. Chief Hollister?
I concur with everything you guys have said. What I worry about is the clientele that will be coming into the store, the age level. You're not just going in at the Pizza Hut when you're probably 16, 17 years old to order pizza, and there might be people having a beer next to you. When you would have kids going into the store, grabbing merchandise, coming in and out. It's just not a good environment, and it's something extra for us to police. And then you start opening up that can, and there's how many gas stations will be drinking gas stations, and you just goes down the road and it just opens up a host of problems for underage and so forth, and parking.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Gretchen?
Well, I've been trying to rack in my brain for anything even close to that side of town that has that level of alcohol purchase consumption. So folks would be driving there and they would have to, drive away, or they'd be walking from apartments, but that's the only, isn't that the only thing on that side of town for a while? I'm trying to think of where else.
For drinking on premises, you're saying?
Yeah.
We got the DFW downtown there, or on the south side there.
Great Escape, but that's reasonably far. I mean, you get downtown is about the same distance to the DFW from Circle C, if I'm thinking right. So, yeah, it logically makes sense not to open up that whole part of town to that type of establishment, to me.
Lee?
Motion to deny the Class D liquor license application for the corner store in this MN LLC located at 2302 South Broadway Street.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. If anybody would like to second it, Brad?
I'll second Lee's motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any additional discussion? Chad?
I was just curious if they're here where they can try to tell us why they feel like they're not here.
I don't recognize anybody in the audience that would be.
Is there anybody representing this business in the audience today?
Okay. All right, we're going to do a roll call vote just because we want to. Roll call vote, please.
Urban,
Yes.
Summerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Crowe,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Schlu.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We do not have our regular normal license list this evening, so a motion to adjourn would be the next motion. If anybody would like to make that motion. Cody? Okay, is there a second to Cody's motion? Matthew? Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the audience for bearing with us, and it's nice to have reporter staff here as well, so thank you for your time.